Armin Kepra, Episode 3, The Fog That Waited. Prose, page 3. The moment Armin stepped off the pier, the storm seemed to shift around him, as if the weather itself were adjusting to his presence. The fog thickened ahead, rolling in slow, deliberate waves that swallowed the harbor lights one by one. Each step he took pressed softly into the wet boards, the sound nearly lost beneath the steady rhythm of the rain. Behind him, the operations team held their position. They didn't call out, they didn't follow. They understood that whatever waited beyond the fog was something Armin needed to meet alone. The air grew colder as he approached the boundary where visibility ended. The fog wasn't drifting naturally. It held its shape, dense and unmoving, like a curtain waiting for permission to rise. Armin paused at its edge, listening. A faint vibration pulsed through the ground again, stronger now, more insistent. It traveled up through his boots, into his legs, settling somewhere deep in his chest. Not a warning, not a threat, a signal. He stepped forward. The fog parted around him in slow, silent folds, revealing the outline of a storage container half buried in shadow. Its metal surface trembled with each vibration, as though something inside was struggling to stay contained. Armin approached it with the same calm he carried into every unraveling. His bandages fluttered gently in the wind, edges damp but steady. He placed one hand on the cold metal wall. The vibrations stopped. The harbor fell silent. For a moment, even the rain seemed to hesitate. Armin lowered his head, listening to the stillness, reading it the way others might read a map or a pulse. Something had shifted, not outside the container, but inside the collapse itself. A soft voice broke through the fog behind him. "Armin, what do you see?" He didn't turn. He didn't answer. He simply exhaled once, slow and controlled, and the fog around him tightened like a held breath. Whatever waited inside the collapse had just noticed him too. Armin Kepra, Episode 4, The Container That Breathed. Prose, page 4. The fog tightened around Armin as he stepped closer to the trembling storage container. The metal surface pulsed once, slow, deliberate, like a lung testing the air. Rain slid down the steel in thin, trembling lines, each droplet catching the faint glow of the harbor lights behind him. Armin didn't flinch. He placed his palm flat against the cold metal. The vibration returned, stronger this time, more focused, as if responding to him directly. Behind him, the analyst's voice carried through the fog. "Armin, should we fall back?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. He stepped to the container's latch. The metal was warm, not from the storm, not from machinery, from something alive. Armin gripped the handle and pulled. The door groaned open, releasing a slow exhale of warm air that rolled past him like the breath of something waking up. Inside, dim emergency lights flickered, casting long, fractured shadows across the interior. A man sat slumped against the far wall, soaked, shivering, eyes wide with a terror that hadn't faded even after the screaming stopped. Armin stepped inside. The man's voice cracked as he tried to speak. Don't touch the floor." Armin froze. He lowered his gaze. The floor wasn't solid. It rippled, subtle, almost invisible, like a thin membrane stretched over something shifting beneath it. Each movement sent a faint tremor up the container walls. Armin crouched, studying the surface. Not water, not machinery, not anything that belonged in a shipping container. The man swallowed hard. "It started under the harbor. We tried to contain it. We thought it was a structural failure. But it wasn't. It wasn't anything we recognized." Armin's eyes narrowed. The floor pulsed once, then again. Then it stilled as if aware it was being watched. Armin rose slowly, his bandages dripping onto the trembling surface. "Can you walk?" he asked. The man nodded weakly. Armin extended a hand, steady, controlled, unshaken. The man reached for it. The floor pulsed again, harder. A sharp metallic crack split through the container as the membrane buckled. Armin pulled the man toward him just as the floor split open beneath them. The collapse had found its first mouth, and it was hungry. Armin Kepra, Episode 5, The Man Pulled from the Floor. Prose, page 5. The container floor split open with a wet, tearing sound, like fabric being ripped underwater. Armin yanked the trembling man upward, just as the membrane collapsed inward, swallowing the space where his legs had been a heartbeat earlier. A rush of warm air surged past them, carrying the faint metallic scent of something that had been waiting beneath the harbor for far too long. Armin steadied the man against the wall. "Stay behind me." The man nodded, breath shaking, eyes wide with the kind of fear that didn't fade after rescue. Armin stepped forward, scanning the shifting membrane below. It pulsed once, then stilled, as if listening. Outside, the analyst's voice cut through the fog. Armin, are you all right? He didn't answer. He lifted a hand, silent signal. Stay back. The membrane twitched again. Armin crouched, studying the edges of the tier. The material wasn't organic. It wasn't synthetic. It was something in between. Something that reacted to movement, pressure, and sound. Something that had learned. The rescued man swallowed hard. It wasn't like this at first. It was just vibrating. Then it started copying us, our steps, our voices, A sharp crack echoed through the container as the membrane surged upward, forming a thin, rising column that stopped inches from Armin's face. It hovered there, trembling, as if trying to understand him. Armin didn't move. The column tilted slightly, mimicking the angle of his head. The man behind him gasped. It's doing it again. Armin slowly extended a gloved hand toward the column. It mirrored him, perfectly. The analyst's silhouette appeared in the fog outside the container. Armin, what is that thing? The column snapped toward the sound of her voice. Armin reacted instantly, grabbing the man and pulling him toward the exit as the membrane lashed upward, striking the ceiling with a violent crack that sent dust raining down. He pushed the man out of the container. Move! The team scrambled back as Armin stepped out last, turning to face the trembling doorway. The membrane writhed inside, pressing against the frame like a creature testing the limits of its cage. The analyst stared at him, breath unsteady. What did you see in there? Armin's eyes narrowed behind the bandages. Adaptation. The membrane slammed against the container wall, hard enough to dent the steel. Armin stepped forward, rain sliding down his bandages in thin, steady lines. And it's learning fast.